Have you ever been so sure you weren't alone, even when there was no one there? Sarah thought she was losing her mind, until one night she discovered the horrifying truth about her home. It started small. A creak here, a flicker there. Sarah didn't believe in ghosts, but her house didn't feel right. And as the weeks turned into months, her quiet home became a place of fear and unease. What she found hidden within its walls would haunt her forever. Sarah had always dreamed of owning her own home. When she inherited her aunt's old Victorian house, it felt like a dream come true. Sure, it was a little rundown, but it had charm. A big wraparound porch, stained glass windows, and enough space for her cat, Whiskers, to roam. But almost as soon as she moved in, things started to feel off. At first, it was easy to brush off. Lights flickering, probably old wiring, strange noises at night, the house settling, obviously. But it wasn't just the sounds, it was the feeling, like someone was watching her. One night, Sarah was in bed when she heard a faint knocking sound. It was slow and deliberate, coming from somewhere downstairs. She froze, straining her ears. After a minute, it stopped. By the next morning, she convinced herself it was just the wind, but the knocking came back the next night, and the night after that. Sarah decided to investigate. She walked the house with a flashlight, peering into every corner. Nothing. She even checked the locks on all the doors and windows. Everything was secure. The noises didn't stop, though. They got worse. Footsteps echoed in the hall at night. Doors creaked open on their own. Whiskers refused to go into certain rooms, hissing at shadows. Her friends tried to comfort her. Old houses make weird noises, they said. It's probably nothing. But it didn't feel like nothing. Desperate, Sarah set up a few cameras around the house, hoping to catch whatever was causing the disturbances. The first few nights, the footage showed nothing. But then one morning, she reviewed the recording from her living room. At around 2:30 a.m., the door to the hallway slowly opened. There was no one there. And yet, the door didn't just creak open, it looked like it was being pushed. Terrified, Sarah decided to call a paranormal investigator. They came with their tools, waving around meters and muttering about energy. After a few hours, they told her something that didn't help at all. There's definitely a presence here. That night, Sarah slept with the lights on. She considered selling the house, but something stopped her. She didn't want to be chased out of her own home. Then one evening, as she was cleaning out the basement, she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Behind an old bookshelf, there was a small door, almost hidden in the wall. It was barely big enough to crawl through. Heart pounding, she opened it. The air inside was damp and smelled faintly of mildew. She shone her flashlight inside and saw a small space, like a crawl space, lined with old blankets and empty food wrappers. Her stomach twisted. Someone or something had been living there. She ran upstairs, slamming the door shut, and called the police. They searched the house and found nothing, no one. Sarah was shaken, but she tried to convince herself it was an old hiding spot, maybe from years ago. But the noises didn't stop. One night, Sarah woke up to a sound she couldn't ignore, her bedroom door creaking open. She sat up, heart racing, and stared at the dark shape in the doorway. It wasn't a shadow, it was a person. He was gaunt, with hollow eyes, holding a knife. He didn't say a word, just stood there staring at her. Sarah screamed and scrambled out of bed, grabbing her phone as she locked herself in the bathroom. Her hands trembled as she called 911. She could hear him outside the door, muttering to himself, the floorboards creaking under his weight. When the police arrived, they found him hiding in the basement crawl space. He'd been living there the entire time Sarah was in the house, sneaking out at night to steal food and watching her through the vents. Sarah moved out the very next day. She later learned the man was wanted for multiple crimes, and her house had just been his latest hiding spot. Even now, she can't sleep without double-checking every lock and closet, because sometimes the things that go bump in the night aren't spirits. Sometimes they're much, much worse. If this story gave you chills, make sure to watch the next one. It's even more terrifying.